and welcome to My Xbox and Me, episode 343. I am one of your hosts, MC Fixer, alongside the one and only Matt. How are you?
I'm good, man. That was an exciting, abrupt start that none of us were expecting. Happy episode 343, everybody. Get it? Because of the Halo people.
Yeah. Cheers for that one, Matt. Thanks. Welcome back, Matt. Welcome back. That's what you bring to the show. We're proud of you. I've got to be honest with you. We are talking about Halo today, but I didn't realize the numbers. So yeah, maybe it was meant to be. And the one and only Too Fresh Crash. Carry on with this argument now. Come on. Keep that same energy. The podcast is live now, fam. Keep the same energy. That's why I started it. Because you know at the start of this, they're going to go, why is he up? No, yeah, come on. Keep the energy going, fam. You've got it.
So you know what you are, Fix? You're the person who starts an argument and then just records it and then records
fantastic
it and
host.
brings it up later. Nah.
Fantastic host. That's what I am. So for those who don't know, Matt has gone on record as saying on Twitter that, let me read it verbatim so that way I don't get in trouble, So Netflix Geeks put out, quote, "We will make choices, but in the end, our choices make us," end quote, which is Netflix and BioShock are working on a
movie.
Is it a confirmed film, yeah?
Yes, it's confirmed to be a film.
Okie dokie. Matt decides to put out a quote tweet here, which is just a reminder there has never been a good video game movie. My rebuttal to that was, I didn't really have a rebuttal, we started talking, but was Sonic, which I think is a serviceable, good film for what it is. Matt disagrees.
Serviceable, fine. These are all good descriptor words. Good is not, though. Sonic is not a good movie.
It is.
It's a fine movie.
It's a good movie.
It's a 6. Not an 8.
An 8 is not good.
What's 8?
8's amazing.
So you're saying a 6 is a bad movie?
No, I'm saying 6 is a fine movie.
Okay. All right.
Fine is under good.
We're not staying on this for too long, but just quickly, Crash, you had to pick one film to defeat this argument. What would you go with?
I'd go with the Sonic movie.
Okay. And I'd go with the Sonic movie too. And then we could argue Detective Pikachu, but we're not going to, because this is My Xbox and Me, our weekly Xbox podcast right here on youtube.com/My Xbox and Me, and we're on across all podcast services. That's what happens when you do different intros. It kind of threw me off. What's the matter, Chris? You okay?
I missed the perfect joke. I should have said Resident Evil. I missed it.
Which Resident Evil, though, Crash? There are so many examples of good Resident Evil films.
There's not a bad Resident Evil movie.
Wow.
I've got to be honest with you, they're all bad. Except for maybe the first one. I think you could make an argument that Resident Evil 1 is a okay film.
Fine. It's a fine film.
Sure. If you want to get the show early, you head over to patreon.com/mcfixer. Go subscribe, go rate us on the podcast services. No, Matt, we're not doing this. You want to keep a conversation going that has no relevancy on here. So no, we're not doing it. I refuse. Big shout out to our Patreon producers, Aaron Guard and FNH Paul. Topic of the show this week. I mentioned it last week to Crash that we would speak about it, and we said we was going to wait for Matt to be here, so that is what we have done. I want to bring up the conversation about a little game known as Halo Infinite, and I want to know, it's a broad question. It's probably a bit of an unfair question because it hasn't been out that long in the grand scheme of things, and it is a living, breathing game that's going to keep building and building and building. But was Halo Infinite a failure? Is the question I want to have on this week's podcast. The reason I say that is Halo Infinite came out, multiplayer first. We all were very excited. It came out with a shadow release. We all enjoyed it. I think we are, especially on the podcast panel, we all agreed that Halo Infinite is a fantastic game, multiplayer and single player. But from a commercial point of view and from a larger player base point of view, did Halo foul? When you look at games like Call of Duty Warzone, and you look at games like Fortnite, and you look at games like, I don't know what else is out there in that sort of same world, free-to-play shooters. Well, so what am I missing other than those two of the big ones?
Nothing.
Call of Duty, Fortnite, Apex Legends, if you want to count that.
Apex would be a great one. Apex is a great one to have in there for this conversation. And that's what we've got to compare it to. Because it's free to play. It's on PC as well. I know it doesn't have PlayStation, where the other three of those titles do have PlayStation, but let's talk about it from an Xbox point of view as well. Then, not just a broader everyone. Do you know what I'm trying to say here? Not from a numbers point of view, but from just a commercial success point of view. Crash, has Halo Infinite fouled?
No, I think the rough thing with making an argument to compare it to Fortnite and Apex, specifically Call of Duty, is a little bit different to the conversation I'm about to have, is that those games took a while to form their player base. And you have to remember, Halo's been out of the public eye for a long time. People aren't as into it. And so this was sort of a reintroduction for a lot of people to come back into it. Whereas if you look at Fortnite, when Fortnite first came out, Fix didn't want to play Fortnite.
Nope.
At all. When Apex first came out, that was a struggle to keep people engaged with that game. And I think we're seeing something similar with Halo here, is like you have to wait until it finds its niche and does it successfully, where I still think they're trying to figure stuff out with the free-to-play formula for themselves. And Call of Duty is Call of Duty, so that launched with a player base because it is what it is. Call of Duty. Yeah. I
think what spurred on this conversation from my point of view was I was on Twitch doing what I always do, and looking at the top games that are being watched, which isn't a barometer of success, but it does get used a lot on Twitter conversations and things like that. Like Lost Ark just came out on PC, right? And it's doing this many numbers on Steam, and it has this many concurrent people watching it on Twitch. And it sort of sparked a conversation in my head where I look at Twitch and I go to Halo Infinite, and it's right now, I'm looking at it live right now, it is sitting at 2.7k viewers. And for an Halo game, that's ridiculously low. Comparing it to games like, look, you've got, obviously, I just mentioned Lost Ark, 761k viewers. We go down from there because that's the highest at the moment. A Counter-Strike, 275. GTA, 254. Let's go down another level from that, right? Dying Light, 17.6. A PUBG, 15k. You got Free Fire sitting at 13.8k. And then I go to, and I know, and again, I understand that the barometer of success isn't just on Twitch, but I do think Twitch is a great place to start this, to have a conversation about it, because that is where a lot of gamers go. It is a place where a lot of the content creators that are making some of the best content are. And if you don't have content creators pushing the game as well as the other things going correct for you, you don't usually form a lot of success. So, Matt, for you, is Halo Infinite a success or a failure, or what is it to you?
I think it's a massive success, and I think look, we when we were talking about Game of the Year, we sectioned off the campaign from the multiplayer as very different games, and I think that's something that should be done here in this conversation as well, right? That campaign came out and it got 9s, 8s, 9s, 10s, right, pretty much across the board. And so I don't know what it's sat at Metacritic now, but it might be quite good to have a look. But yeah, I think as far as the campaign goes, it did everything I think people were hoping it would do. It introduced a new element in the open world, and it executed on that really well with the grapple hook and stuff like that, right? It felt fresh, and it got people like me and you, Fix, to play through that campaign, right? Who've never, I finished Halo campaigns before, but never took an interest in that, right? Never done it outside of co-op, certainly. And so, it got me to play through that and be excited about it, right? The draw of a Halo campaign's replayability is the extra difficulty, and on top of that, the co-op. And I found myself thinking, should I jump back in? Should I clean up the map? Should I up the difficulty to legendary and try and run through it. No, I'm going to wait for co-op. And so I think potentially a lot of people are in the same place, right? And then on the multiplayer side, I think they're struggling, right? I believe it when they say like co-op needs more time. Like introducing co-op into that sort of open world game is very difficult. I wonder how many resources have been put on that to try and get that out. But it feels like the multiplayer is getting a bit stale when you compare it to like the longevity of something like a Warzone and a Fortnite, where every match felt different. You could drop somewhere different and it would feel different. It would feel like a fresh new thing. There's plenty of weapons to mess around with. Whereas Halo has got to a point, me and my mates playing, where we are moving on to other stuff. We're moving on to older games, just for something fresh and new, because those maps have been cycling for a long time now. Those game modes have been cycling for a long time now, and we're kind of over it. Now, when they do drop something new, I think we will definitely jump back in. But until then, it's a big ask.
I think it's kind of the downside of arena shooters in a today time is like we're used to something like a BR where stuff is constantly changing and it's always different. Even if you look at like traditional Call of Duty multiplayer, I'm sure there's still people playing it. It's Call of Duty. It's not as big as it used to be. People don't talk about it as much. People still talk about Warzone more than they do the traditional multiplayer.
Yep.
And that's because it's the new main thing. It's the new main multiplayer format, especially when you're talking about FPSs. So I think if we're talking about Halo being a success, I think it was a success. You know, a ton of hype when the multiplayer dropped, a ton of hype again when the campaign dropped. Like, absolutely a success. A long-term success, I think so far. I think like dropping player base, I think that's normal for most games, especially a free-to-play game. New content comes out, people jump back into it. That's how these games work. But if they want to see success the size of like a Fortnite or a Warzone or something like that, I think they do need a BR. I think that's what that game needs, which...
Obviously, that's where the conversation was going to go to next, which is, was it a mistake to not launch with a BR? Or do you think it's a case of there is one in the works, there is something happening on that front, and it is a way to then bring people back into Halo once again? They did it with the multiplayer, they did it with the single player, and then they've got one more hook in their chamber to get us back in with a BR.
Well, I think they have a lot more hooks, right? They have Forge that will bring a lot of people back in, and you know, like we talk about Minecraft and Fortnite, the creative element of that is a big deal for a lot of people. So dropping Forge is one hook to get people back in. Dropping co-op is another hook to get people back in, and then you've got a BR, and then other stuff as well, right? Like more game modes, more maps, bring back old maps. Like they can do so much to keep hooking people back in. I think the potential for it over the next 12 months is huge. Whether or not it happens is a different thing, right?
Yeah, I absolutely agree. It'll be very, very interesting to see if they don't do a BR. What do they do to sort of reignite people's interests in the multiplayer? Is it new modes? Because they had an event mode, which was essentially, it was like a one life mode. It wasn't really one life. You could respawn up to a certain amount of times. I forget exactly how it worked. And they're bringing that back and they're making it permanent because people liked it.
Yeah, it was good.
Will it be stuff like that, new modes, or will it be new maps, or how will they approach making the multiplayer significant for people again?
That mode that you're talking about was very almost BR inspired, right? Because it was much, obviously smaller scale, 4v4 tactical, but the idea of it was, if we have 10 lives as a team or whatever it is, once we're down to however many team members we have, if Fixer dies, he's out, but me and you could go revive him if we stand over his body for long enough, right? And so it like that idea of like in Apex, you know, when you call people back in, or Warzone, when you buy people back in, it kind of had that element to it, just on a much smaller, more tactical scale that Halo is used to, right? Sorry, Fix, you were going to say something.
No, hey, I'm not the Halo guy, and you guys know more than me, so please carry on. It was for me. It was more a case of drawing the conversation of like, "Fuck you." I know I just said I'd shut up. And I didn't shut up.
No, it's okay. It's okay. No problem.
No, you go on. But what I was going to say is,
I wanted to more have the conversation just about it. Is more Kresh is a Halo guy. He's played Forge. He's spoken about that a lot. Matt, you've been enjoying it with your friends. And then there's me. I'm on the outskirts of like, I'm getting ready to jump. I'm getting back into certain types of games. I'm getting ready to jump back into backlog right now because there isn't much that I'm missing out on this new looking around that's caught my interest. So it was, I don't know. It's a hard one for me because I'm like, well, Halo to me should be bigger than what it is right now. Like, it did well, but I do kind of look at it as a flop in a way because it just couldn't keep the momentum going, which I think that's what all good games do. I agree with you, Crash. You say Fortnite and stuff like that, but Fortnite did have a steady player base still going. As much as it went up and down, same for Apex Legends, same for most games, but I don't see even a Battle Royale being enough to build Halo back up to the pinnacle in which I view Halo as, you know?
I don't think Halo ever goes back to that point because Halo there's too much of a skill gap for Halo. It is not like, if you think about Apex, I guess Apex also has a skill gap because you don't just kill people right away. But if you look at Call of Duty, that doesn't really have a skill gap. There's obviously, can you aim or not?
Yeah.
Fortnite has the building mechanic, and a bunch of people dropped off once the building got too crazy. Don't get me wrong, Fortnite's still huge, but now it is that dedicated audience. Now it's a question of, can you get people to be dedicated into the Halo format when you have stuff that I feel like is a lot quicker in something like Fortnite, or you're a lot more active than maybe you would be in Halo.
Do the kids care about Halo? No. And that's where the money is. And that's where the success is. In my head, that's how I'm viewing it. It's like, do the kids care about Halo? It went free to play, they still didn't care. Like, we cared, and there's a lot of other people that cared, but the kids just didn't care. And they still don't care. And the BR may get them in for a week, maybe a month. But I don't think it gets them in long term. And Halo Infinite doesn't become what I think I envisioned it becoming.
I think Forge could have more of an impact on this than we
I
think.
don't see it. I know Forge is like Forge, but Forge just isn't it to me, you know?
I think it's not
so
it
much
for
Forge.
you. Forge is good. And Forge is what kids would like, where you have a lot of like party type game modes where the goal for those is fun and it's whatever people can create. So I think Forge will hinge on like how quickly people can put out good content for Forge, and how well it is.
It's that Minecraft thing, right? Of like, there was a point where Minecraft dipped off, and then people started playing Hunger Games in Minecraft, and it went huge. Yeah. And that was that, right? That was that Forge element of Minecraft, right? That allowed people to do that. It wouldn't surprise me if content creators, if people playing Forge beat 343 to the punch with a BR. It depends how much freedom they have within that, right? But that's not out of the question. Whether or not you can create a big enough map in Forge, and all of these things will play into that for sure. But it could happen, right? 343 could even be banking on that. They could even be going, no, we haven't got time to work on a BR. Somebody else will make it in Forge. We're going to give them the tools to do it. You know, how do you monetize that then? And there are a million questions to do with that. But when Halo 3 was at its biggest, when I was playing Halo the most I've ever played of it, I was playing mostly custom games, like custom party games. And so I'm really excited for that to come back. I think it could get a lot of people back in. I think it's a cool thing to be able to stream and like get a lot of viewers in with you and a lot of interaction and stuff. And so I hope, I guess, more so than I actually think Forge will be a big deal. But yeah.
Halo Infinite currently sits at 87 on Metacritic, by the way, for you who want to know, Matt.
It's a 9, basically.
Pretty sure it's not how numbers work, but all right, sure, fine. I'll allow it. Why not? 8.7, that's not a 9, but okay. Maybe I'm wrong.
You're supposed to round up.
Yeah.
So
you do when it's positive. It is when there's positive things that I care about, I'll round up. But then, you know, like my height, I'm actually 6 foot.
If you don't like Infinite.
Yeah, I mean, I guess time will tell, right? I guess that's kind of what we're waiting on. Time will tell, and we will find out relatively soon if Halo Infinite is actually a flop or it has been a success. with, I guess I would give it like the next 3 updates would be my thing. Once they've got the co-op out, and then you've got Forge, whatever the thing is after that, and then Battle Royale thing maybe possibly after that, and then we'll know, I guess.
Yeah, I think it'll depend on what the next Call of Duty looks like, and like when those games are coming out in November, December time, are we still thinking and talking about Halo? That'll be the interesting thing, I think.
I think we're past the point of discussing whether Halo's a flop or not. It either would have been a flop by now or it's not. I don't think.
No, I disagree. I disagree because I think, and the other thing I wanted to bring up, but I just didn't think about it, is I think Game Pass like destroys that. Because and the barrier to entry of it being free to play as well. Like something can be popular but not be successful. That is something that could happen.
Right. I guess I don't.
Like
for me, I would have to think about like, but when people were playing it, people would have had to have been like, "Oh, this is a bad game," and people would have had this negative response because people did play it and it was popular, but generally the consensus was good about the game.
Just because something's good doesn't mean it make it successful, though.
Successful based on what? Because then are games that do well on Game Pass not successful? Is that what you're saying? Because if that's what you're saying, cool, no argument from me if that's the point you're making.
Hey, Crash. Can I be honest with you? I ain't got a fucking clue. I'm making this shit up as I go along. I don't know. I just thought it was an interesting. None of us are playing Halo right now.
No,
it's I do still have it installed.
No, I still have it installed as well, and that's where this conversation comes. It's on my PC. I had it installed, and I was like, "Should I uninstall you?" And I was like, "No, I'm not going to uninstall you, because if someone was to ask me, do you want to play Halo? I'd have no problems playing Halo." But nobody's asking.
I've last played it probably about 2 weeks ago. So I'm not like out.
Okay. How about we keep a firm eye on this then?
You know what I did? I mean,
we'll leave it till what
we're playing. No, we'll leave it till what's in your box. Yeah.
Okay, well, good. We're moving on anyway. Let's jump into Fix's Sack this week. Remember, you can email in my Xbox and me podcast at gmail.com. Matt P, that is my Xbox and me podcast at gmail.com. Why did I say Matt P's name there, everybody? Because Matt P does the write-ups for the website. Matt P does the write-ups for the website. I put it in bold letters that said, "Do not delete," which was the email, the Discord link, and the app. What did Matt P do literally straight after? Deleted it all. So he's not going to message me. He's not going to message me saying, "What's the email again this week, Fixer?" Because you know the email. Don't ask me, all right?
I don't do that anyway. I just put email in brackets and expect you to do it.
That's even worse. That's my point. My Xbox and me podcast at gmail.com. Remember to email. You can hit us up on Twitter with the hashtag MXAM, or make sure you join the Discord link, which is in the YouTube video below in the description. Feel free to join. Everybody is welcome. First question says, "Hi guys, love the podcast and the energy you guys bring." You sure? There's still time for you to run, you know? With all the talk of Xbox buying studios, what if they started a brand new studio, even combining the talent they have? What combo of studios would you guys like to see? Thanks a lot, Jimmy T. Oh, it's a good question. I like this one.
Me and Crash looked at them all earlier, and we said they're all good questions this week.
It's a very good question. Hey, Jimmy T, questions. Can I just say, keep these questions coming.
Yeah,
don't let Sarah get on this podcast again, please. Jesus Christ. Let's go with 2. Xbox newly owned, or not newly, but just Xbox owned studios. Would you like to see a mashup from? Ooh.
My immediate thought here, which kind of is semi already happening, not really, but like Playground and like Bethesda, like Playground is making Fable, right? And like I've said before, it's gonna be a pretty ass game. Playground make great pretty ass games.
Yeah.
What the fuck is the gameplay gonna be like? Maybe just bring in a little Skyrim dev to help you guys out. I don't know why I'm worried about it, but I'm worried about it.
I think mine would be obvious. I think it would be Undead Labs and Tango Gameworks. together, working on a survival zombie third-person game. Because Undead Labs made one fantastic game and one good game.
That's fair.
I'm gonna go okay game. I don't think State of Decay. Because I don't think State of Decay 2 went far enough away from what it could be. I expected them to take that next step, and that's what I'm expecting from the next game, and that's what scares me a little bit with them playing it a little bit. Dying Light 2 to me was playing them close to home. Was them going, okay, we've got a formula here that people enjoy and it works. Let's just do that again and add multiplayer. Which they did that, but then the multiplayer systems they had in place were garbage. I hated the multiplayer systems they had. So for me, I would love to see the team that worked on The Evil Within and the team that made this great survival zombie apocalypse game, together. I think that could make a really fun time for a video game.
That's a good shout.
Fresh?
I would want the Coalition and Bethesda. I would want a Coalition Bethesda game. I don't know what they would make.
Okay.
I just feel like Bethesda comes up with interesting enough worlds.
Okay.
And Coalition makes very good-looking games that play fun as well.
Yeah.
So I just feel like whatever product they would give us would be interesting at the least. So,
kind of like, stay with me here, because I got a lot of shit on Podcasts Unlocked when I said this, and for good reason, because I'm not a Mass Effect guy, but sort of like a Mass Effect in terms of like a third-person cover-based shooter, with deep stories and world building.
And more of a world building and more of a fantastical element than something like Gears of War normally is.
Not the space and all that stuff, but do you get what I mean? Like, when I watch people play Mass Effect, I called it a cover-based shooter, and I didn't get as much shit as I should have got for it, but I do think its gameplay can be played as if it is a cover-based shooter. That's how I played Mass Effect 1.
Yeah, no, that's why you disliked Mass Effect 1.
That I'm sure, I'm 100% sure it is.
Plays well in that regard, sure.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Do you get what I'm going for?
I get what you're going for.
Back you. I think that's a fine descriptor of Mass Effect. Like, sure, that's not the primary focus of a Mass Effect game. But when you're talking offhand and you're just saying
it's not a good descriptor for Mass Effect. Because
not when you're on the number one Xbox podcast in the world.
It doesn't, like, if you go to somebody and you're like, oh, you like cover-based shooters, play Mass Effect. Is that a good descriptor?
No, I agree with that. No, 100%. I agree with you there.
Oh. You want to argue this, Matt?
No, I don't want to argue. I just didn't want to say what I was about to say, but you know what? Fuck it, I'm going to say it. Only because the gameplay in Mass Effect isn't that great.
Yes, I agree. 1,000% agree with you. 100% agree. 100% agree.
Have we not talked about Mass Effect with you, Matt?
I guess not.
I told Fix not to play the first Mass Effect.
He did.
That is correct. That is correct.
The gameplay is bad in that game in every regard. I don't think any regard of that gameplay is good.
From a technical point of view to yes, I agree.
Yeah, the story's fantastic. The world building's fantastic in the first one. All that's great. The gameplay is just not fantastic. But yeah, something to the vein of that, is what I would like.
That would be awesome. Like, of the three we've chosen here, and I think mine's amazing, I'd love yours. No, but I'd absolutely love like a third-person, action-packed, cover-based shooter, but with like big, fantastic RPG elements with decisions, and I can steal everything. That would be fucking awesome. I'd love that. Personally.
Klepto.
I don't know what klepto means.
Kleptomaniac, somebody who has the impulsion to steal constantly.
I'm pretty sure he's not dyslexic. He says big words on this podcast often. I'm not sure about it. I'm not
couldn't spell it, but I could say it.
Okay, I respect it. Great question, Jimmy T. Please do keep them coming. Next one. Hey guys, hope you are well. With the recent acquisitions and Sony announcing they're looking to buy looking to buy more, do you think that CD Projekt Red might sell? Despite the awful state of Cyberpunk 2077 when it launched, there is some enormous talent at the studio, and I think it would be a great buy for either Sony or Microsoft. What do you think? Are you sick of all the acquisition talks, or do you enjoy coming up with theories and ideas of who might be next? Best regards, Lewis Glover. Let's start with the last question there first. Are we sick of all the buy-in talk? No.
No, I'm not.
I'm not.
I don't care either way, to be honest. I own, and this is a little bit of a more privileged point of view, I guess. I own both an Xbox and PlayStation. So if one of them buys a company, it's not the end of the world for me.
Yeah, and a Switch as well.
Care.
Don't
I own a
get
Switch
away
as well.
with
So
this.
if Nintendo buys everybody, I'm like, I'm good. I can play it all on my Switch, and it could be the ugliest game ever, but I'm playing it on my Switch.
You don't need to worry about that. You don't need to worry about that.
Yeah.
No, I'm personally not. It doesn't bother me, this question, yet, because I think we're still in it. I think what bothers me, that you know what questions upset me, and I've said them many a time on this podcast, it's the, if you could only play one game ever for the rest of your life, what would it be? If you was trapped on a desert island and you could only play... They're the questions that get on my nerves, because we've answered them for many years. This podcast has been going on for many years. You know my answer. Football Manager. Football Manager, Football Manager, Football Manager, Football Manager. 100%. Or GTA. One or the other. Like, depends what mood I was in. No, we're not doing it. And no, the reason I'm not sick of it as well is because I think there's still more to come. So, until it's over and the dust has settled and no one's been bought for a year, then I'll be like, all right, guys, it's over now, chill out. But I think the information out there currently is still Sony are looking to buy, Microsoft are looking to buy, Tencent are looking to buy, Google are being Google, and Amazon are being Amazon. So, yeah, there's conversations to be out there still to had. So, but to answer the actual question, Matt, are you sick? You're not sick. You're not sick.
I'm not sick of it, and I was gonna say to transition that I think Cyberpunk CD Projekt Red is a great buy for Sony based on what they said about buying Bungie, about turning them into this multimedia thing, right? And buying Bungie because they already have that expertise in live service games, and they want that. Well, CD Projekt Red have given The Witcher to Netflix, and it's been fucking huge, right? So if they're looking to buy in those expertise, go on.
They don't own that,
CD
though,
Projekt,
right?
Yeah, I don't think CD Projekt Red gave it to Witcher.
Oh, because they bought the rights to the book.
Like, they own the game.
Yeah,
they own the
I'm
book,
not
right?
sure about that, but I'm pretty sure that's not. Yeah,
I think you're right.
The story,
Makes sense.
The
You're
story
probably
in the
right.
TV show isn't based off the video game.
You're probably absolutely right, because yes, they're much more based on the books. You're right, and so I retract my previous statement. I still stand by what I said. I think CD Projekt Red is probably a great buy for Sony at this point, more so than Microsoft. But I'm sure Microsoft would take the advantage and buy them if they could. Why not?
The thing with I think CD Projekt Red being bought by either of them, I think would be absolutely fine. But I think, if I'm not mistaken, they're from Poland, correct? The studio?
Yeah, they're Polish studio.
Yeah, I believe they have the same.
They got taxes coming out the butt
like
cheeks.
Ubisoft.
They're rich as a bitch on Sunday morning. I don't know why a bitch, because it's a female dog, but I went with it, so don't worry about it.
So I don't know if they'd be looking to sell, but I do think it would be a good purchase for Microsoft or Sony. I think with a little bit somebody at the helm, sort of limiting their scope, because the biggest problem with Cyberpunk is that they kept going bigger and bigger and bigger, and ultimately it sort of muddied the product they ended up giving, because they were working on these mechanics and these things that they wanted to add, and it was like, scrap that, we can't do it. You remember the game had wall running at one point, and they were like, we're just getting rid of that completely. So having somebody at the head, sort of like, this is what you can do, and this is the limit of the scope, go and make this game, and having them make that game really well, I think would be cool.
I don't think either of them need them, and if anybody needs them more, it's it's PlayStation. Like, Xbox have already got the biggest RPGs in the world.
Agreed.
So, Cyberpunk an RPG studio. They make some of the best RPGs in the world, I'd say, because I think you could make the argument for Witcher 1, 2, and 3 being some of the best RPGs. But they also make RPGs that are very niche. They do really well, and they are humongous projects. I'm not I'm not saying that Cyberpunk didn't sell well. It did. We know this. Witcher sold ridiculous. Look how big The Witcher is now. Like, not just because of the games, but books and other media.
Yeah.
But if anybody needs them, it's Sony. It's not Xbox. Microsoft. Microsoft do not need another RPG studio. We've spoken about this. Xbox need a puzzle game studio. Xbox need a sports game studio. Xbox need what else are they missing from their catalog? I'm really trying to scratch my brain now. As if they just bought all of Activision. They've got platformers.
It's such a hard conversation to have with Xbox because they've also bought so many studios that haven't put out games yet. So it's like, what studios do they have? What can they make?
I'm telling you, Compulsion's next game's going to be a banger. I'm telling you guys. Compulsion. We've not seen Compulsion. Since Xbox bought Compulsion, we ain't seen nothing.
So you're saying 9 and above on Metacritic?
8.
I'll make a pizza bet with you for 9.
That's a long-ass pizza bet. We thought the Final Fantasy pizza bet was a long-ass pizza bet.
No, Compulsion's games that's getting announced this year.
Announced?
It won't come out. It may not come. No, it might come out until next year, but it's getting announced this year.
You think announced this year, out next year?
Yeah. It got leaked.
The last game came out a while ago as well, a long time ago.
We Happy Few was ages ago, and that was published by 2K. They've been working on stuff. Bro, I'm telling you, after I watched that documentary and watched how they make games, and know they've grown since then, the studio's grown, more staff, I'm all in on Compulsion's next game. I ain't seen it. I don't know what it's gonna be. I don't know. Well, I know a little bit. I can't remember the exact stuff what got leaked, but 8, yes.
8? No.
8.
To be fair, I'm not gonna make the pizza bet either way because it'd be making pizza bet in hopes that a game company doesn't put out a good game, and I don't think
so. What? It's a pizza bet. We could do that. It's
nice.
fine.
No, that's an ethically sound pizza bet. I'm with you, Crash.
Jesus
that's nice.
All right, moving on. Next question, which says, is it better for Microsoft first party to put out niche 9/10s like Flight Sim, or 7/8s with broader appeal from Stead GB?
See what I mean? Good questions this week.
That's a great question.
That's a great question.
That's you know what? Can we round of applause, baby? Because the questions have been fire from you lot this week. Jesus. Damn. I don't even know how to answer that because
7 or 8 with broader appeal. That's what Ubisoft made its name on. That's what most big companies made their name on, was 7 or 8 with broad appeal. If we're talking about like Microsoft being more successful as a first party, 7 or 8 with broad appeal. Without a doubt.
The question isn't more successful. I understand what you're saying. I agree. From a business perspective, 7 or 8's broad appeal makes way more sense. But is it better for? So this. No, I think you're still right. Yes, yes. Yeah, I think if they could have a Far Cry and a Watch Dog and a Assassin's Creed that were all, and that's to use Ubisoft as the example there, that were 7s every year, but they sold as well as all 3 of those games do. Watch Dogs is a bit shaky, I'll give you that. But even that's enough probably for Microsoft right now.
Yeah,
I think they would be happy.
To play devil's advocate,
please.
I'm not sure I stand by this very much, but I fancy a fight, so bring it on. Niche 9 and 10s are more likely to sell consoles than broad 7s and 8s.
Okay.
Nope. Disagree.
Well, first of all, don't necessarily disagree with you.
Disagree.
Don't necessarily agree with you. But Microsoft isn't just selling consoles. Xbox isn't just selling consoles. They're selling games on PC as well. So
that's why I sort of said I don't necessarily fully agree with this point of view. But I think like if you're a flight sim guy, you're fucking buying an Xbox, but I mean, you're probably playing on PC to be fair. But
if you can't afford a 2,000, and Flight Sim is a 2,000 to £3,000 rig. It
Flight Sim is also like I have a friend who has a Series X who has put probably 150 hours into Flight Sim, and he says that it's a fucking nightmare to play on Series X. Like, you have to decide how much storage you're going to give Flight Sim, that dictates whether or not you have, like, detailed maps, but there's, like, petitions to each of... There's, like... It sounds like absolute chaos to play it on Series X, even. So, God knows if you can even boot it up on a Series S. Probably not. But, yeah, I was surprised to learn that last week, so...
7 8s. 7 8s. 7 8s.
9 10s.
Okay.
From a purely selfish point of view, I'm more excited for a 9 and 10. Like,
I am, but okay. How many of us played Flight Sim?
Oh wow.
Okay,
I played on
one
PC.
of the 3. No, that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where you played it, but you had. And how much of it did you play?
Oh, like 6 hours.
Yeah. So no, I'm sorry. No, you buy the DLC. You gonna buy that DLC when it comes out?
Yeah, you buy.
That's how much you care. That's how much you care. You don't care.
Did you play it on Game Pass? Or did you buy a copy?
I got a copy. I played it.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I didn't even pay for it. God, what a schmuck. Jesus crumbs. Next question. Given the packed release schedule this month, really? Do you guys, as content creators, ever feel you miss out on game experience when you're always on to the next thing? From Top Lift 91. 1000% yes.
Yes.
Oh my god. Playing. Oh my god. Yes. Come on, guys. You've listened to the podcast now. Making GTA my main game on stream was the best thing for my career. Was the worst thing for my playing games experience, which you've probably noticed when I talk about what's been in my box, because it's one game now. It's never. I've been playing NBA, and I've been playing FIFA, and I've been playing whatever niche game on Game Pass. There is no time for the niche game on Game Pass because of what we do for a living. Yeah, I think for me, I'll talk for myself and let the boys speak for them, but for me, oh my god, if I was just a general consumer of video games, as I was once upon a time, or if I made a different type of content, which I could do, I could definitely change what I do. I would enjoy the experience of playing games way more than I do. So I get so much anxiety now about playing games. I check how long a game's going to take to beat. I schedule out a certain. Dying Light 2 is a perfect example. Once upon a time, I would sit down and just play a game for an hour and be okay with that. Now, the anxiety of me going, I'm only going to get to play an hour, cripples me from even playing the game at all. Like, that's where my life is at. So, go on, Matt.
I definitely get that. Like, that anxiety of, well, I've only got an hour, so what's the point?
Yeah.
That, like, definitely happens, especially with big games like Dying Light. But yeah, 100%. And also, like, I'm just finding that I'm having less of that anxiety, more so now. Like, especially because you're right, it's a packed month. You're right, Top Lift. It's a packed month, and so I'm just like, I get to what I get to. I'm not that fussed. Like, and that's again coming from quite a place of privilege where like I do get access to quite a few codes and stuff.
Yep.
But like, Horizon's a good example of like I've been watching reviews for Horizon. Everybody's loving that game. I'm not going to get to that game because I see Elden Ring on the horizon. Oh, no pun intended. And I'm more excited about Elden Ring. And I've seen that people were like rushing through the Horizon campaign and clocking in at 40 hours. I'm just like, nah, I don't need that. I'll get it on sale in a year. Whatever.
Ash?
Not a content creator. Can't answer.
That's
the
true.
question.
That's so true. I wanted to know what you would say. Honestly, I was like, you're like the everyday guy that just comes on this podcast once a week and talks games with us, and it's amazing.
Yeah.
Once-
Be you guys.
But that's why you get to play more games on Game Pass and things like that, and that's you get to try new experiences, and you as a person are willing to dip out of an experience if you're not enjoying it. Where
Yes.
when you're reviewing a game for a review, or which you do for us sometimes, not all of the time, but sometimes. Biomutant was a great example. Far Cry was another great example of games that I don't think you would have played as much of if you wasn't doing it for content creation. So you are a content creator, but it just comes up a little bit different. Is what I'd say for you. Where I'm not like Diane. I'm like I'm either going to reach out to PR to get Haley a code for Dying Light, or I'm going to buy Haley a copy of Dying Light so I can beat Dying Light by the end of the year, because I know that is the only way I will beat that game. is if I can justify it in my brain of like, me and Haley are doing it together. We are playing a game together. And then I can sit here for a whole 10 hours if we're playing it together, but I can't sit here on a Saturday morning for 10 hours if we're not playing it together. Do you know?
Have you finished It Takes Two yet?
He's not being Dying Light this year. No chance.
Do you know what's annoying though? That's 100% my fault. Haley is asked to play It Takes Two 20 times? 30 times? And I'm just like, I'd rather lay on the bed and watch Office. Because that is honestly what I would rather do. So
my question, when it comes to playing Dying Light, are you going to prefer to play Dying Light over laying down in bed and watching Office?
I think so, because me and H haven't actually played a game. I know that sounds really mean to It Takes Two, because I love it. I do think It Takes Two is a fantastic game, 100%, and it will get beaten at some point in time. But I want some action, you know?
You have the new Borderlands game.
Yeah, I'm going to play that as well. That's going to be, and we always play Borderlands games together.
That comes out in like March.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that as well.
So you think
another game
Light over...
Dying Light will get beaten at some point, yeah?
Okay.
There's a game that I saw on our schedule at work today that we have not talked about, and I feel like is so up our alley. Martha is Dead.
We've spoken about this off air as well.
Have we?
Yes. Because we spoke about it on Should We Ask for Codes?
Oh, okay. Let's do that.
Okay, I'll get right on that.
In that conversation,
you were in the conversation. Like, what the hell? Yes, you was.
Was I though?
Did we answer the question? Do you ever feel like you miss out on game experiences? Yeah, yes. All round, yes. Let's not make this a woe is us situation. We are all in a... I don't know about Crash, actually. Me and Matt are in a very privileged position, and Crash sometimes gets the privilege and sometimes doesn't, of being able to go to PR events, and we get sent games early and a bunch of other stuff. Like, so there is a give and a take with everything in life, and this is the give and take of our life. I'm going to be retired at one point and be like, I know what to do. Time for me to finally check out It Takes Two. And I'll play it then, you know?
Nah, Fix is going to be the cranky old man who's going to hit up the PR like, why am I not invited to these events anymore? I just got my new walking stick, so I'd look fresh.
I didn't have this hip replacement for nothing. Moving on. Next question says, how do you feel about the rest of this year's release schedule on Xbox? Does Xbox need a Nintendo-style Direct series to hype up its upcoming releases? From Rye. Right, great question. Yes. Yes. I miss. What's the show they had?
Inside Xbox?
Inside Xbox, yes. I miss Inside Xbox.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was watching the Nintendo Direct, and while I was watching, I was like, Xbox really needs to do this. We've talked about it when we would cover Inside Xbox, is that Inside Xbox is also like a lot of developer talk and stuff like that, which is cool for people who like that, but not everybody does. I feel like they need like a 20-minute show, a 30-minute show, a 40-minute show where it's like, here are games and we're going to show you gameplay and we're going to talk about the games, and this is stuff that's coming out. It doesn't have to be exclusive. There will be some exclusives, and like, here's the stuff we have planned to come out in the first 6 months of the year, and we're going to show this to you. And I think that would be really dope for Xbox to do, because I'm watching them, like, Sony does that, Nintendo does that, Xbox does that, sort of.
Xbox does technically do that with its Idea Xbox stuff as well. They do have an Idea Xbox show that they've done previously, which is pretty much that. It just isn't packaged as sexy as a Nintendo Direct or a State of Play. And I think if they were to market and repackage Inside Xbox as their version of a State of Play, would be very good for them. Yeah,
I'd rather them emulate what State of Play has been doing more recently, where like some of them are like, here's 10 games, and some of them are like, here's 18 minutes of Horizon, and we're going to talk you through it. I really want that for Starfield. Like, Like that's their big hit now in the sort of November release window. Like we've barely seen any of it. Which is classic Bethesda, but sorry, go on.
Do we know if Avowed comes out this year? Or we don't have a release date for that?
No. But what was another thing I saw on the Scorn? Is Scorn still coming this year?
That's this year, apparently.
Do we have any idea what Scorn is?
It's a game.
No.
It's an FPS, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think so, but we don't know that. I don't think.
Yeah.
And then Senua
could be wrong.
2 is another good example of a game
that
I need. Is it not?
No. I don't think that's got a release date, has it?
But I desperately want to see more of that game. I thought that was 2022, at least vague 2022. But hey ho, there's a lot of stuff that's vague 2022 that clearly isn't 2022.
2023. Yeah,
I know.
The stuff that's vague 2022s are stuff that were either made like really early, either in 2020 or 2021, or it's stuff where they're like, we know we're gonna have a release date, but we want people to think we have games coming out in 2022, so we're just gonna label a whole bunch of stuff at 2022.
Oh no, yeah, Avowed is technically eternal release 2020, like meant to be 2022.
I wouldn't be surprised if that game comes out in 2022.
Yeah, no,
it would be cool
I guess,
to have a inside Xbox type thing where like Avowed gets like a 10-minute gameplay showdown or whatever, or like what they did with what Xbox or Sony did with what's Microsoft Studio, the Bethesda game, the Tango Works game. No,
Ghostwire Tokyo.
Ghostwire Tokyo recently, yeah. Well, similar to that vein, and like here's the game and here's the overall themes, but not really going too into it and just sort of getting people hyped about the game.
But it didn't. It got me turned off. I instantly was like, I'm not sure.
You've always been turned off on it.
Yeah, I was hyped when I saw that. I was like, oh, I love the way this looks. I really enjoy this. I'm really down for this game.
Me too.
I hope I'm wrong. I really hope I'm wrong about that game.
I don't think you're going to like it because I don't think it's what you want from Tango Works.
It's not. Give me Evil Within 3.
I think you're going to go with that game and
you're
going to be like,
Evil Within 3. I
could have died to Evil Within 3 and instead I get Ghostwire Tokyo.
It's not that hard. Just give me Evil Within 3. God damn it. All right.
But quickly back to the question, which is like, does Xbox need this? Like, in us saying like, oh yeah, what about Avowed? Oh yeah, what about Scorn? That is evident. That's all the evidence you need, right? That everybody listening to this podcast went, oh yeah, what about Scorn? Like, how are we not hyped for these games that are supposedly coming this year? Like, come on.
I mean, Scorn's been around for so long and has had no good showings whenever we've seen anything for Scorn.
The first showing I enjoyed. I enjoyed the first showing of them panning the areas and stuff. I enjoyed that because it seemed like a game up my alley. But yeah, no, Yeah. Last question this week, and the questions have been fantastic. Thank you very much, everybody. Says, okay, so I just saw this on MSNBC. Jesus. The math loading it for your news channels. As I was leaving the house today, but it's reported that Microsoft is heading back into the office, working at the end of the month. My questions are: do you think this applies to Xbox side of Microsoft? And if it does, do you think some games will be thrown into the crunch/rush mode so it can come out earlier than what was expected, especially now that Xbox just dropped 69 billion on he puts on Activision/Blizzard/King, and investors could see them already being asked to work on other Xbox games. As always, thanks for all you guys do, Yami. I think yes, in terms of the studios, but not go back into office. I think it might become optional though. I don't think it's going to be I don't think we live in a world anymore where there won't be options for things like that as much at big companies. I'm not talking about everyone. I think there's conversations to be had there. I think if someone was talented enough and was adamant enough to work from home, and they've shown this past 2.5 years or 2 years, God, COVID, bro, I was meant to have gone to America. I was meant to have done so much these last 2 years. Jesus Christ. I'm going next month. Wild. No, I think if someone had shown a track record that they could hit their targets and stuff, they could probably make the argument and not get sacked or not be forced. But I think most people will be asked to go back, I think.
Yeah, I know with a lot of computer programming jobs as well, a lot of it is a mix of work from home and going into the office for like whatever meetings or whatever you'd have. So I could see that being the case of like maybe it's 2 days you go to the office, or maybe you have to go to the office once a week or once every other week or whatever, just to sort of touch base with everybody, make sure everybody's on the same page. I definitely see them going back to the office at some point, but game design in general, there's a lot of companies also that are doing full-on work from home for a lot of companies with the newer people they hire. So I wouldn't be surprised if Microsoft also has positions that are work from home for whatever you have to do, and then some of the more demanding positions that are sort of a mix of both.
I apply this back to like it's little things. Like I can only talk for Haley works in a school. Most people know this, and like I think like they came out and said like there's no such thing as a snow day anymore. Like that doesn't exist anymore. And it was like, what do you mean? It's like, well, you've taught through Zoom now, so there's no excuse anymore from a point of view of like, oh, I can't get into work. It's like, good, stay at home. You can work from Zoom. We've proven this works. It's not the best, but we've proven this works, and I feel like that's going to apply now across the world for a lot of things, right? Which is like, the things that people would have fought against a long time ago have been proven that they can do it. So now, why would you go against it? I watched who's Mr. Wonderful from Shark Tank. Anyone remember that guy? He's the bald guy. I don't exactly know how he got his millions, but I saw a clip of him on a magical website. You may have heard of it, TikTok. And it was him. It was him saying, "No, it's up to like 80% of people are like, no, we're not coming back, and we will find jobs elsewhere." And I can only imagine that must still apply in the video game space as well, which is if you're an artist who gets your best work done at midnight, and there are people like that who work better at night compared to during the days and things like that, and you can still get the same workload done, and you've proven that, you're not going back to the office. Like, it's not happening.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's also a really weird thing where a lot of this is going into a completely different conversation that we don't necessarily need to go to. But a lot of like in-office things and why you have like certain managers in offices is sort of just to keep the people working, and it comes out to be very oppressive and like actually hurts the workload as opposed to benefiting it.
Shocker, you're telling me, Crash, there are people put in positions of power to not actually do much, but to just make other people feel bad about them not working hard enough.
Yeah.
Sounds a little bit like me on my Xbox and me. Sounds like me when I'm here.
I think there are a couple of. I'll play devil's advocate again. Not that I necessarily stand by the points that I'm about to throw out there. Crash is at 100% right. There are some people in some positions that are managers that have maybe realized that if they're all working from home, they're either significantly less effective at being managers or they are no longer needed at all. And so there could potentially be a big push to get everybody back in the office to save one's job. Two, big companies like Microsoft that own very, very big buildings all over the world need to fill those buildings up with people or sell those buildings. But there aren't many people looking to buy buildings as big as Microsoft owns buildings. That's the hard sell. And so how do you justify having spent billions on those offices?
Chris, you're in New York. Like, isn't that a big thing in New York? Like the maybe I'm just watching TikTok too much, but I'm pretty sure I thought I saw something like that. It was like, there's just empty offices, and now people are like, it's not just. The same thing happens in London, so I don't even need to bring New York into it. It's like the coffee shops are going under because there are not as many people in offices and like the sandwich shop down the road who was across the road was expecting the business that he would get from those regular customers, and that's having like a knock-on effect across everything, right?
Yep. My barber literally said the same thing to me today. It's like nobody's in the offices in Bath, and so nobody's getting their haircut at lunch and stuff, and they're struggling.
So you tipped him, right?
We actually get discount because of the office that we work in. So then I just
Right, you don't
paid
get
the
no
full price
discount.
and
COVID. Your man just said
So
that
you
guys
paid the
got out
full
of business.
no, but
going
what I'm saying is I paid the full amount.
Full price.
Yeah, exactly. But then the discount
So
was
you
the
didn't
tip.
tip him.
I mean,
You just took away the discount.
I'll go back tomorrow. I'll go back tomorrow, tipping.
Matt P confirms he don't care about his barber. Me too. I don't tip my barber either, just so you're all aware. I'm glad
Do people tip barbers in the UK?
Yes, yes, yes. Especially black barbers, 1000%. You better tip your barber, otherwise your hairline might come out back here, bro. You don't want that.
Is that what happened to you that one time? You knew that?
Fix it. Tip him the time before.
You had to go
That
back.
that was a wonky line. That wasn't a pushed hairline back. That never happens to me.
Fair.
I see a man push my hairline back even a little bit.
I was going to say, you're talking about like active sabotage.
I'm talking about like, look at my hair. It's a mess right now, yeah? I'm talking about like my hairline's here, right? I'm talking about my man pushes the hair back to here. And you're like, fam, I will fight you outside and knock you out. Like, you better bring my hairline back to here, my guy. You know?
Okay,
my hat back on. For those who didn't see that part on the video, go watch it. I don't know what the time code is, but Krish will not write it down. The time code's
an hour. It's an hour, not 1 minute. It's an hour.
Okay.
An hour in.
Thank you. Let's jump into what's been in our box this week, boys. Tell you what, I'll kick us off because I played a game that Krish suggested.
What?
Yeah, I did. I'm trying to wait for my Xbox screen to load so I can see it and see what it's called. It was called Dreamscaper. It was the roguelike action roguelike game that Krish played last week. He spoke about it. He wasn't hot on it, but he wasn't negative on it. It was somewhere in between, right? And I had the same thing, which was Matt. You're saying to yourself, why on earth did you try this then? If he wasn't hot on it, because I need to try new games, right? Number one, and number two, he mentioned a topic that is close to my heart, which is depression. It's something that I've struggled with in myself. So I was kind of interested just to see how a game like that would tackle depression. Number one, and sure. I didn't play it for very long. But what I did play was I was kind of shocked. I was like, yeah, I get what I 100% understand, Krish, what you were saying about voice acting. Though I do think the game actually does quite a good job of portraying the character's emotions without voice acting. So while the game would have been a much better experience if it had voice acting, the game still did a fantastic job portraying what it was trying to get across without it. Yeah, action RPG. I really like the way the map works in terms of teleporting to different areas. I like the tutorial, very self-explanatory. Does a great job of explaining the game's mechanics and which you are going to be doing. If you like a game like Dead Cells or something of that nature, you will enjoy this game. I don't think it's quite as in depth as this game as it's not as in depth as Dead Cells, but it did definitely have a very cute element to it, wrapped in a warm blanket that just needed a hug. I don't know if that words.
I get what you're saying with that game. Yeah, it's the art style. It has a very, very unique and I think good art style to it.
It definitely, the one thing I will call out is in the game it's a PlayStation 1 that they're playing on, and I was like, huh. I was like, oh, okay, interesting. On Game Pass, PlayStation 1, sure, why not? But yeah, I had a good time with it. I didn't get very far, but I'm not the biggest roguelike guy. I've learned that now. But I'm always willing to give one a try to see if one will get me to the end. This is not one that will get me to the end, unfortunately, but I definitely think it was worth playing, and I enjoyed the hour and a half to 2 hours in which I put in it. So, yeah. Eddie, what have you been playing, Crush?
Wow. I was going to play Crossfire X.
Oh, God, yeah, I was meant to play that.
Maintenance.
When
I was going to play it. Yeah, and so you can't even play the campaign.
So funny enough, I went to go play Crossfire X. It wasn't on the Game Pass PC store. Couldn't find it.
Interesting. I know. That's interesting because I was playing games with Ben a few nights ago, I think it was over a week ago. We were gonna load up Rainbow Six Extraction. He was gonna install it on PC, and he couldn't find Rainbow Six Extraction on the PC Game Pass. So I think there's just a bugged out thing with PC Game Pass where games sometimes don't show up.
I'm gonna check the store now for Crossfire X.
It wasn't popping up for me either. I was checking. I'd play on Xbox, but I was checking my PC just to see if it would pop up for me.
Strange.
Yeah, I don't know if
it's still not on there. I still can't find it.
I don't know if it needs an update. I don't know what it is, but it didn't pop up for whatever reason. Yeah.
How bizarre.
Maybe it's not on Game Pass PC yet.
That is a very fair shout. It might not be on Game Pass PC.
But Rainbow is here.
I can see Rainbow here now.
Rainbow is, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't get around to playing it yet, but I installed Telling Lies. Do you know what this one is?
What game is that? No.
So this is
the one with the faces on the cover of it?
Yes. Yeah.
It's like a live action thing, right?
This is the live action one where it's kind of it's the evolution of pick your own story type TV show sort of thing. And I was just like, I know for a fact that me and Haley will absolutely love playing this together. So why on earth? So I downloaded that. Again, didn't get around to playing it just yet, but yeah, I will.
Did you play? I think it was by the same studio. It may have been PlayStation exclusive. Erica?
It was PlayStation exclusive. Erica. I have it and never played it. That one didn't get me. Where this trailer did get me. I watched this trailer and was like, this is quite interesting. I like where this is going. Erica never got me. I was never invested in that character or what they were telling. And the trailer did a really good job of like, his reviews are all like 100 out of 10, 90 out of 10. In the trailer, it's like all these, The Guardian and this and that. And I was like, you've sold me. The trailer has sold me on it, so I'll download it. So yeah, I downloaded that to give it a
me and Emma played through Erica a while ago. So maybe I'll try Telling Lies with her as well, because I'm sure she'd be keen to jump into that. Erica was like fine. Like I think we both felt it was like fine. But hopefully if they've progressed and evolved, then maybe Telling Lies will be good.
I'll tell you next week. How about that?
Well, maybe I will too. How about that?
Okay. How about that?
Can I ask you a question, Fix? How many games are you playing with Haley? Out of curiosity.
Yeah.
No, this game's not going to take me long. No, because this is like...
Finishing It Takes Two probably won't take you long.
I just don't want to.
That's a great point, Matt.
I promise you It Takes Two is going to be better than Telling Lies.
Point, old game's old, right, Fix?
Crash. That's the problem. I literally uninstalled all my old games and was like, well, they're not 2022 games. Like, did you not see my tweet the other day?
Yeah.
My tweet the other day of me tweeting at Xbox, hey, Xbox, could you make it so we can look at games from release date?
I did see that.
And that was because I was uninstalling games where I was like, I'm never coming back. Who cares? Like,
they're not 2022 games, but they were literally Game of the Year 2021 games that you haven't played and finished it.
I played it. Do you know what is Game of the Year?
Angry. Artful
game. Fantastic game, Crash. Did you enjoy that? I think it was amazing.
Yeah, amazing game.
What a great game. Matt, what are you in plan this week, my guy?
I have I've been desperately trying to scratch Elden Ring's itch that is getting too much to bear. So I started Death's Door.
Okay, yeah.
Which is brilliant. Crash, you're wrong. You're an idiot. Death's Door is fantastic.
Wow, I've never heard someone call Crash an idiot like that.
If it comes from Matt, does it really matter?
That's a great point. That's a great point.
Wow.
That's a great point.
So I've probably put maybe 4 or 5 hours into Death's Door. I hope to finish it before Elden Ring comes out, but I probably won't because I also then picked up, not relevant to our audience, Sifu. Well, I suppose it's on PC, but you know, hey.
Yeah.
And that is very much scratching that itch for me for now, at least. And then me and my mates started playing Zombie Army 4, the Sniper Elite spin-off that came out ages ago.
Yeah, I reviewed that like a year ago or whatever when it came out. It's fine.
Old game is old, but old game is good.
It's fine.
It's that. Yeah. It's Outriders. It's, you know, it's our pub game where we haven't got to think about it, and it's a good laugh, and it's good fun. And then also we jumped back into Forza
Oh, nice.
I never played that game with friends before.
Much better, right?
No.
What?
What a terrible experience.
Yes. I said this on the podcast. And I was like, I don't know if I'm doing it wrong or right. It is not a
Well,
great experience.
I feel the same way. I don't know if I'm doing it wrong or right. It's awful. It's terrible. It's such a terrible experience to play that game with anybody. Yeah, like literal like 4, 5, like so you load into like a series of races. You're gonna do 3 races with this group of people. In between each race, 4, 5, 6 minutes of loading. In between each race, and then you get into the race. Everybody else's cars are like fully maxed out, whatever, and we're not there. Whatever, that's fine.
Sorry, you're playing multiplayer.
Well, multiplayer and no, we didn't do much free roaming actually. But why would you?
So you didn't do the story. You didn't do the story mode with your friends.
We did also then do a bit of that, significantly better.
Okay, that's
still
the experience
not a
I'm
fantastic
talking
experience.
about.
Still not a great experience.
Okay.
And but I do feel like that could be the case, Crash, where it's like you're doing it wrong. I don't know what
it
that
felt
means,
like we were
but like
it, but
yeah,
it was not a super enjoyable experience as I was doing it. And what kept going through my mind was like, I'm doing something wrong. Something is incorrect here because it's not as fun as people say it is.
Yeah, I feel that.
Can't tell you how to feel, guys. But no, multiplayer is full of like, it's like imagine going into Call of Duty. It's full of grinders. It's full of the hardcore of the hardcore.
I'm fine with
like
that. I'm fine if you're all racing in the same car that's maxed out. Like I'm okay with that. Why am I spending 6 minutes loading between each fucking race?
Yeah.
What is going on? It just felt broken. And like half of the times we tried it, one of us would drop out. Like there were 3 of us playing, one of us would drop out. Like even in the story mode that happened, the host dropped out. So we were just racing with his ghost and he was like, no, I'm not in the game, it's crashed or whatever. And I was just like, this is such a terrible experience. Why would you do it to me, Forza?
Damn. Didn't see that
Forza
coming.
6 out of 10. You heard it from Matt first.
Yeah, I think we should reorganize our Game of the Year list and take it out.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
To last year's
If we're
Game
doing
of the
that,
Year
then
list.
It Takes Two is not coming, not going to get anything because I ain't beat it.
I think that's fair.
No, it's not.
don't.
Shut up. Is that everything everyone's been playing?
Yes.
Yeah.
Cool. Let's move on to this week's dashboard real quick then, shall we? Capcom have got a countdown going down on their Twitter. I don't know if you guys have seen like the Xbox fandom Twitter for this. It's people just making up fake imagery,
the coding and stuff like that
of the coding and saying Xbox are buying Capcom or Xbox Resident Evil 4 remake is now an Xbox exclusive because it was meant to be an exclusive on Xbox 360 once upon a time. The Xbox fans have gone wild with it. It's been and I'm like, guys, I hate you all for this. Don't do this with my games, all right? Have your fun with your Battletoads and all this other rubbish, but stay away from my video games. So yeah, if you don't know, on Capcom's website, they've got a countdown. The countdown will end on the 21st of February. I think this is just the Resident Evil 4 remake trailer, if I'm being honest. Either that or something else. I don't know. I don't know what else it could be, though, because the Xbox Resident Evil Portal is also doing stuff. Please, go.
Street Fighter 6.
Oh, no.
That's what like a lot of people are thinking because Street Fighter 6 is supposed to be announced soon. I think didn't Resident Evil do something today?
What?
I think Capcom did something else, and I think it was Resident Evil related today, but I could be wrong.
Oh, I would have known that.
Look it up, Fix, while I put on my tinfoil hat.
Please do.
Hat on. Do you actually have a tinfoil hat?
No, one
Until
day.
you have a tinfoil hat, I don't want to see you say I'm putting my tinfoil hat on.
That's fair. That's fair. The numbers and the way the clock is doesn't scream Street Fighter or Resident Evil to me. Go on, Fix.
Well, so again, I'm a nerd, right? So the Resident Evil Portal's got like a coming soon screen going on it at the moment, and that's why we're all under the understanding that it's. I was joking about the Resident Evil 4 thing. What we actually think this is we're finally going to get like 1, 2, and 3 OG finally on consoles that are not PS1. So you're not gonna have to emulate it like you have been having to for many years on PC. So I think what they're gonna do is like a 0, 1, 2, 3 combo package, and it'd be available on Xbox, Switch, because those games will run on Switch easy. Xbox, Switch, PC, PlayStation, for them to milk even more money out of me. So, and that's kind of what the rumor mill is right now after some investigations in the Resident Evil community.
Could it be Village DLC?
No.
That is a possibility as well. I saw people theorizing that too.
Do you have a reason for saying no other than you don't like it, Fix?
No, I don't like it.
That's fair. That's fair.
Is it when did Village come out? Village came out beginning of the year, right?
Yeah, no, we could definitely beginning of last year. Yeah,
so
it could,
DLC.
but again, I've just told you what it is. So
yeah. I don't think it's Resident Evil 4 remake. I think that's a E3 thing. I don't think that's a countdown timer sort of thing. And I don't think for packaged Resident Evil games you do a countdown timer like that. I think that's a Resident Evil, like a big Resident Evil fan that goes like, yeah, that's what the countdown timer's for.
I think you're underestimating Resident Evil fans if you say that.
I don't think for old Resident Evil games. No, I'm not talking about fans. I'm talking about Capcom. I don't think Capcom does that for that reason.
Trust me.
So you asked me to trust a Resident Evil fan that the countdown is for the thing that they like. Got it.
Yes. I'm glad you
understand.
I've
got one more that it could be.
Yeah.
Dino Crisis.
Could be an NFT range.
No.
We're not doing this. I'm pretty sure the numbers have been going down week by week. Every time we talk about NFTs. So no, I don't think it's that either.
We're not going to talk about NFTs.
Capcom are not that dumb. Capcom are not that dumb. So yeah. And Capcom are dumb, but they're just not that dumb.
I was gonna say.
That'd be wild. Dude, people would be so pissed.
I know. But I could also see it totally being a thing. Hey, what are you gonna do? We'll find out. We should all put in a guess because we're gonna know by next week.
Okay. So on the Resident Evil portal,
okay.
Breaking news. Capcom launches Resident Evil Museum, including never before seen artwork. That is what happened on the Resident Evil portal.
That you can buy and they're one-off and it's on the blockchain?
No, okay. But that was what that whole announcement was on the portal. So I was wrong.
Okay.
So
I'm gonna guess that it's Street Fighter.
You're locking in Street Fighter. I don't think there's any way it's Street Fighter.
Okay, I'm locking in Street Fighter even more now.
I respect it.
I'm locking in Resident Evil Code Veronica X remake.
I have a question, Mix.
No question. Sorry, I've locked it in.
Side of you? Is this just you being hopeful?
I've locked it in. No, there's no questions. Sorry, Matt. What are you looking in? I need you to lock in.
I'm gonna lock in Village DLC. That's what I'm gonna say.
I respect it. Next up, more Resident Evil news. Details from the unannounced Resident Evil 4 remake have come out. The remake for Resident Evil 4 has not officially been announced. This was all taken by Fanbyte, by the way. If you're someone who's a soul, blah, 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 blah. Let's get to the meat and potatoes of all this. After some mixed response from Resident Evil 3 remake, Capcom has shifted the project internally and I don't know. I'll put the main leads of Resident Evil 2 remake on the Resident Evil 4 remake production. The highlight info: the village scene and a decent portion of the game takes place at night now. Scarier and inspired by Resident Evil 4 betas, B-E-T-A-S. Betas, thank you. Side characters have a bigger role. Ada's campaign will also be expanded. Possibility early 2022 reveal. I'm sure you have questions for me, Crash, so feel free to ask them.
I have absolutely no questions. I thought you were just going to go off on it, I'm going to be honest.
I do. I know we always joke, and I'm sure hardcore long-time listeners will know. Well, what is it about Resident Evil 4 that you don't like?
It just ruined. I've said it before. I'll say
I
it
can
again.
answer this for Fix.
Go on then, feel free.
It's the first game that started to transition Resident Evil into an action-oriented game as opposed to being a horror game.
Thank you very much, Chris.
So
You're
does
welcome.
this second bullet point, scarier, does that excite you, Fix?
No. It's still Resident Evil 4, which tells me that scarier means nothing.
But now it takes place more at night. Spooky.
They're not gonna do this game. This game's gonna be good. I just want you all to know this game's gonna be good. This game's gonna get like 9s and 10s. I want you all to know that. Resident Evil 2 remake team doing it. Game's gonna play like Resident Evil 2, which is fantastic. The sound design, the big cheese being in it. Like, there's so much they can do with this that's going to make this a fantastic game. I'm not gonna like this game. I know for a fact.
Does hearing that they're taking the critique of Resident Evil 3 remake into account, do you think that affects them going forward? And does that
no, because they went too far. They went too with 3. It became almost too much. It was ridiculous. It got out of hand how action focused 3 was.
Yeah.
No, they're saying, it's being reported that they're pulling it back, but really they're just putting it back in place because they overdid it in 3 and now they're course correcting, which is back to where it should be. Resident Evil 2 is where Resident Evil should live. Resident Evil 2 remake is where Resident Evil should live from this point onwards. Like, it was the perfect gameplay. In my opinion, obviously, it was the perfect gameplay for what a modern Resident Evil game should feel like. It was like, it had limited resources with great puzzles that were obviously modernized. It felt scary at certain moments, but also had an action parts to it. It felt, though it was a survival horror game out and out, it had moments of action as well, you know. And there's no better. The more and more, and I've said this before, like, the more and more I speak about Resident Evil 2 remake, the more and more I do think it might be my favorite game of all time. It's just a flawless experience. It really is.
Yeah, they can't change that much going into 4, though, right? 4 is so beloved that I think even if they dialed it back to be more horror, more scavengy, more like, you know, low on resources, stuff like that, I don't know if that's what people want from it.
4 isn't that. Like, 4 is you get more ammo than I don't know what reference I was going to pull out there. But you get ridiculous amounts of ammo, you get ridiculous amounts of health, you get ridiculous amounts of resources. The game isn't designed in a way to limit you.
So I have a question. So Resident Evil 2 remake Resident Evil 2 remake comes out and it's sort of a modernization of that sort of like horror survival game, right?
Yeah.
I've never played Resident Evil 4, so I don't know the answer to this, but can a modernization of that game be as successful as the Resident Evil 2 remake in terms of an action game?
No. Not for me, but again, I'm a hater. I'm a Resident Evil 4 hater, so you got to take what I say with a pinch of salt. I just don't... The game is so much bigger. Resident Evil 4 is such a big game in comparison to Resident Evil 2. Resident Evil 2, you what are the things you think about of Resident Evil 2? You think about RPD, and then you think about the lab. They are the 2 iconic areas of Resident Evil 2. You can get rid of the sewers, you can get rid of everything else. Resident Evil 4, you've got the village that isn't that interesting. So they've got that first job. They've got to make the village interesting, which they're not going to do, because the village isn't interesting. I just don't know how you make the village interesting. It's a bunch of huts with a bunch of people going, like, it's just not interesting. I'm sorry.
I think you're right, and I think because Resident Evil 2 was like so fresh, the remake was so fresh because it was so different to Resident Evil 2, but like modern, like you say, they just modernized it. But like, what do you do to Resident Evil 4? You can't make it that different. Like, you know, and we've seen everything. Like, we've seen a VR version of Resident Evil 4. We've seen, and so, like, what do you do? What does a remake of Resident Evil 4 add? And like you say, making side characters more prominent and expanding all of that. I don't know if that's what people want. I don't think people do want that. People just want to give Capcom more money for a game that they've already bought 6 times.
I've bought that game way more than 6 times. I've bought that game more than 6 times. How scary is that?
That's mad.
Mobile, Wii, GameCube.
I didn't even know it was on mobile.
Yep. PS, it was on the iPod Touch. PS3, PS4, PS5. The thing is, Xbox 360, Xbox One.
That kind of proves my point. Is this is money in the bank? Like regardless of how it's received, in a way, it's money. People are going to buy this thing, Resident Evil 4 remake. But there's no way people buy Resident Evil 5 remake, is there?
Well, 4 will tell us. 4 will tell us, because if 4 isn't 4, then they can retcon 5, and then they can retcon 6. If they in my opinion fix, but other people's opinion will be changed. If they fix Resident Evil 4,
they won't.
They can fix Resident Evil 5.
There's no way they I don't think they change Resident Evil 4 that drastically.
Well, that's the question, right?
From the leak, one of the important things is that they aren't going for a scene-by-scene remake of Resident Evil 4 anymore.
I know that,
so
which is amazing.
So if you take that and you assume that they're going to change stuff, and then they do change enough in 4, I could see them doing 5. I could see them doing 5 either way.
But the thing is, what's crazy about 5, because I don't know how, again, I'm sorry for people who don't care about this, but I absolutely do, is the Undead, what's it called? Lost in Memories DLC in 5 is the best content of Resident Evil 5, because you start off playing this Krillin. They can fix 5. 5 can be fixed. Like, I'm not going to lie to you, like, Shiva's not that bad a character. The story of what happens with Jill is kind of interesting. Ouroboros as a virus is kind of boring, and Africa as a setting isn't amazing, but 5 can be fixed. Like, there's enough there to, like, make 5, make Resident Evil 5 great again. Like, we could do it. Now, 6 on the other hand, I don't know what they do with that pile of shit. No way. Like, that's...
I think you have to throw that out, right?
That's I don't know how that's fixable. But
is there big story beats in 6 that they could like sort of take and change the setting on, or it's like it's a dumpster fire?
Fresh, I don't even consider Resident Evil 6 canon.
I don't think you have.
How good would this be? Ready? If Resident Evil 4 remake comes out, and then Resident Evil 5 redo comes out, and it's not even a remake. It's just we're gonna take a punt at continuing 4 again.
Well, that's what I'm hoping
Resident Evil 6
is.
redo comes out.
I don't think they'll do redo. I think that's we've spoken about this at length and at nauseum. I'm sorry for people who don't care, but it's like they can make this. They could have done this right. It's where does Code Veronica come in? Like a modern Code Veronica with Resident Evil 2 gameplay. Oh my god. Like, could be amazing. But will we ever see it? I don't know.
So, I know Code Veronica timeline-wise takes place between 2 and 3?
No, after 3.
After 3?
After 2, because technically 3, the first half... Yeah, we're getting nerdy now. Okay. The first half of 3 is technically before 2, and the second half of 3 is after 2.
God.
Because remember, 2 is a spin-off game. 3 is meant to be a spin-off game where Code Veronica is technically 3.
So, do you think there's any possibility, instead of doing a Resident Evil 5 remake, the next one would be Code Veronica, and they just adjust the timeline of when stuff happen?
I'd love that.
But could it fit, like, story-wise?
I mean, why not? Who gives a crap? It's Resident Evil. They can do what they want.
True. That's very true. That's very true.
It doesn't have to come out in chronological order, does it?
Yeah.
They can still put it out and be like, well, this takes place before 4. So, perfect.
I know they had to do it, but they've really done themselves in calling Resident Evil 7 and 8 Resident Evil. They shouldn't be Resident Evil games. They should just be a different thing.
That's why it's called Resident Evil Village.
Yeah, I think they're going to start dropping the...
numbers.
They stopped, yeah, I think early on they were big on the number, and they slowly dropped that off for Village and started associating it more Resident Evil Village. I think they stopped doing the numbers for the newer first-person Resident Evil games.
Or they won't, and people like me will still get upset and be like, this isn't what I want.
But for for the older third persons, does that mean that they stop once they get to like 5 and 6? And
Well,
it's like
that's
they got no
well-
more numbers to do.
Well, no, because then you've got the Revelation series. See, my head
Okay.
was always, in my mind, it was always, they will keep making these third-party ones, they'll be the numbers, and what I will care about now will be the third-party ones that are Revelations. But they haven't done that. We haven't seen Revelations 3 yet, and I'm like, that just seems like a no-brainer to me. But what do I know?
People didn't like the Revelations games.
They're fine. I've never actually played Revelations 1, ever.
Okay.
It's a whole story beat I've missed. I know. Crazy, right?
You're not even a real Resident Evil fan. God.
I know. I'm sorry. Do we care about the rest of this news, or should we get out of here? Ubisoft turned Assassin's Creed Valhalla expansion into a standalone title. So the next Assassin's Creed game is gonna be it's gonna be an expansion. There's no longer expansion because it was too big for an expansion, and now it's its own title. Cool. The game is going to be called Assassin's Creed Rift. It's being called Assassin's Creed Rift internally, sorry. This has been reported by Bloomberg, of course, because why wouldn't it not be? Pretty sure that was Jason Schreier, right? With that leak. When it comes to Assassin's Creed, he's the guy on that stuff. So, yeah, I mean, there's that. It's going to be a more stealth-focused game, which I'm sure gets Kresh and Haley, who's about to walk past me, very happy.
No.
And yeah, I not happy. No, not happy.
No, because they said Valhalla was going to be more stealth-oriented, and it was dookie when it comes to stealth.
Okay, I'm sorry, Chris. I didn't mean that. Next one, new Xbox quick resume update. This one comes from Windows Central, which is as revealed by Xbox engineer lead Eden, on Twitter. Xbox insiders in the alpha ring will soon be able to test the ability to fully control games that remain in quick resume state. By pressing the view button on the game, you'll be able to pin it to quick resume, meaning that your Xbox will always prioritize that game for quick resume status and won't be overridden by opening up other games. Very cool.
Yeah, I kind of wish I could turn off quick resume, and I don't know if that's going to be a feature for multiplayer games.
Oh, okay,
Yes,
okay.
Crash.
Yeah, because
Fuck me every time I load up Halo and have to just fucking close the app because it's like multiplayer don't work. Like, what is the point?
Yeah, it's
Quick resume's amazing.
very,
you guys
very
are haters.
annoying. No,
So
I love
It's
quick
amazing,
resume.
but it fundamentally
not
doesn't
great
work
with
on Halo.
multiplayer games that need to be connected all the time. And it's like, you've disconnected from the server. Please, like, load from the beginning or whatever you got to do in the game. It's like, I'd rather just load up the game fresh every time.
Yes, 100%.
Next news story, Call of Duty 2022 and Warzone 2 launched together later this year. Following a conference between Call of Duty developer, studio lead, and content creators, details about 2022 premiere Call of Duty title are being released, along with confirmation about the rumored next-gen sequel for Call of Duty Warzone. Makes sense. I feel like Call of Duty Warzone's in a bad place in terms of bloatedness and content-wise. And let's get that hype back and start again and get it right this time. I think that works.
Yeah, I think one of the big takeaways from the article, which isn't really in the headline or anywhere, is developed in a new engine. They've developed a new engine for Call of Duty for this and Warzone 2. So that's hopeful to look forward with Call of Duty. I think it's important. We also mentioned Ubisoft earlier, just to touch up on the fact that these companies do some shitty stuff and they're both in trouble for what they've done. I think we should mention that when we talk
100%.
about them.
Also, somebody mentioned Harry Potter earlier, and we didn't say fuck J.K. Rowling. But fuck J.K. Rowling.
Oh, J.K. Rowling.
Fuck you, J.K. Rowling.
Yeah, of course.
I think that's from this story is the biggest takeaway is the new engine.
Yeah, that's really
that could
interesting.
be really cool. Yeah, Warzone needs a facelift. I was curious. I don't know if you saw this fix, but in Warzone they made it where cheaters, they don't get kicked right away, but if they think you're cheating, they ricochet the damage you do and decrease the amount you do to the other person, so you do damage to yourself.
Yeah, I've seen this.
Oh,
I've
that's
seen
really
this.
cool.
Yeah, and apparently it's pretty accurate so far, where they're not really hitting the wrong people with it. So I think that's actually a really, really cool mechanic. So it's like while they're figuring out if somebody's cheating, they stop punishing the person who's getting cheated on.
I saw that Twitch streamers were getting reported for cheating because they were getting shot but not receiving damage. But it's because the other person was cheating and they were being hit with this thing. And then it's like a really interesting, cool thing. Yeah. But I don't think they announced that they were doing that. I think it just started happening.
I don't think they can.
Figured it out on their own.
Yeah.
Well, I guess. Yeah, but
with like anti-cheat systems, you don't want to announce like everything with it.
That's fair.
Yeah.
People are gonna figure it out anyway, so finding a workaround that's not giving them an easy way out of like figuring it out, you know.
Warzone 2 is going to be fucking huge.
Don't think
like
it
just
is.
whacking a 2 on it. Oh, come on.
Nope.
No,
because you're not realizing that Warzone was big and Warzone is big and still going to be big, but COVID, bro, COVID was the game. Warzone was the game for COVID. There wasn't anything else. No one cared about anything else. No, it didn't matter what came out. We were playing Warzone. Doesn't matter.
I might get some hate for this, but was Warzone significantly better than Black Ops, the last Call of Duty with BR?
Yes.
Was it?
Yes.
I guess.
Yes.
I guess.
Yes. No. Yeah, you're getting some shit, and I'm giving it to you. Yes, by a mile. By a mile.
I haven't played that game in forever, so I don't. Well, really
obviously, yes. It did.
Do you think they migrate skins and stuff over from Warzone 1?
No.
So you lose all that shit?
Yes.
Yeah. Wow. Well, first of all, it's a new engine, so like realistically, like business-wise and money-wise, it doesn't make sense for them to transfer that. In most cases, there is a possibility where they make the files like loadable into the new engine, and they can make it all play nice together. But that's just had an Activision decision.
I just had a black ladybird land on my microphone. I've never seen a black ladybird in my life, and it looked poisonous, and it scared the shit out of me.
They're deadly poisonous.
Don't say shit like that. He's still in my room.
I could see his like face, like holding back the smile. What's a ladybird?
Ladybug.
Is it like a ladybug? It's a ladybug.
Yeah, ladybug. We call them ladybirds over here.
Okay, got it.
Oh, I was gonna say, did I say it wrong? I'm dumb. Like, did I just say it wrong? Or
no, I knew that because of Bug's Life. They call them ladybugs, and I was always like, "What?" And my mum was like, "Yeah, they're ladybirds, yeah."
A lady what? That's what I said. No. They're calling it. Americans call it ladybug. Oh, I'm right. Haley confirmed. It's all good. Haley said you lot dumb. Haley said you lot dumb. She didn't. She didn't say that. You know she didn't say that.
I didn't know it was a bird.
I said that.
Yeah, I didn't know it was a bird.
That's a great point, though. Why do we call... I'm not doing this. Destiny 2, the Witch Queen legendary campaign will be brutal but rewarding. Kresh, are you back? Are you not back?
Dude,
what are you doing? What are you up to with this?
It's pulling me in, dude. I'm gonna be honest. The closer we get, they're changing the void classes. Then there's this. If you play the campaign on legendary, they let you skip like all the tedious grinding up until the stuff where you have to do like the hard stuff to grind. And it's just like I hear all this stuff, and it's one thing Bungie's really good at is selling me on an expansion, and then I play the expansion. I'm like,
it's trash.
That was an experience. Not always trash. I feel like for the most part with expansions, as opposed to like their bigger updates, are good. You're just a hater fix, and that's okay. You can be a hater.
That's true.
No problem with me.
I've been hating a lot this episode. I'm sorry, I have. We haven't spoke about NFTs enough or metaverses, so I'm hating.
True.
But metaverse is coming up later, guys. Don't worry.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you're back in, yeah?
I think so. Maybe. I think so. I think I'm back in. Okay. Matt, are you back in?
I hope not. But if my friends are like, "We're going back," I'll be like, "Oh, okay." Yeah, nothing that they've shown off has me excited. But
I'm never going back to Destiny ever.
Oh, you'll jump back into Destiny 3 when it's exclusive on PlayStation. You
pony.
You pony.
Next up, Cyberpunk 2077, the next gen upgrade is now available. I can finally open my copy of Cyberpunk 2077 that is open. It's still in its shrink wrapper.
5-hour trial on Series X and S, I'm pretty sure.
Ooh, that's cool. Don't open your shrink wrap copy, Fix, because theoretically one day, when in the far flung future,
it's not going
to be worth anything.
It's going to be a non-updated copy of the game. Like theoretically, you could have your console offline and play the original Cyberpunk in the state that it shipped.
I don't think you can
Is
have
that
it
true?
offline,
No, most games with CDs still make you install now.
Yeah,
pretty much.
Right. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Unfortunately,
that would have been cooler, right?
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah. It would be really. That was a really good idea until I thought about the fact that you have to still install the game online.
That's fair.
Sorry, Chris, you got an airplane in your house?
Yeah, in my house.
Says the ladybug. It's already got to New York and it's gonna kill Crash.
That's just how fast it's flying.
Next up, Beyond Good and Evil 2 is still in pre-production after all these years.
No, it's not. It's not a thing.
Stop
pretending it's a thing.
There's no chance that game comes out. You know, that game's gonna come out one day, and it's gonna be the same exact experience people had with Cyberpunk. Of like, I got promised all these features. I got promised everything.
We didn't get promised nothing from it, though. We haven't really been promised anything from... What have we been promised?
Joseph Gordon-Levitt came out on stage.
He's not even there anymore.
Doesn't matter. They said there's going to be multiple planets. You're going to be able to fly to all the planets. There's all this.
Oh, yeah, he did say that, didn't he?
He sold a lot of stuff for this game. This game is going to come back. It is not going to deliver on a lot of those things. And if we're lucky, it won't be a buggy mess and it'll be a fine game, but it will not live up to any expectations.
They did this whole thing about like, oh, we're going to get people to make graffiti and put it in the world and music and put it in the world. And you're doing that in fucking GTA 5. And you ain't seen Beyond Good and Evil 2 and it ain't never come.
Ubisoft should hire you, Fix. What are they doing?
Get rid of Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Get fucking MC Fixer in here.
They've already paid me for some sponsor stuff before, so I'm good. Last but not least, finally, a conversation I can be positive about. Bandai Namco to spend 130 million on a metaverse project. Bandai Namco announced Tuesday that it plans to plans to develop an, quote, IP metaverse, end quote, for its library of games, and it's spending 15 billion yen, $130 million, on this project. Chris, don't worry about the quotes, because I actually don't care about this one, because it's Bandai Namco. I'm not a Bandai Namco guy, I don't care about the Gokus.
But you care about the metaverse.
Yeah, but this isn't my metaverse.
So you only care about, but the metaverse you want, which is the Ready Player One metaverse, which will never exist, but that's beside the point. The metaverse you want isn't about what you want. It's about everything.
Oh, it's not? It's not about what I want?
Yeah, no, it's not about what you want.
Oh, okay. Interesting. I must have missed the point where... Matt P, you look so confused, my guy. You okay?
I'm reading their quotes, and I don't think they understand what IP or metaverse mean. None of this makes any sense to me.
Well, then read that out to us. Go on.
Through the IP metaverse, we will establish communities among Bandai Namco and fans, as well as among fans themselves. That doesn't even make any sense to me, but whatever.
Translated.
Well, I don't know what they're trying to say.
Okay.
First of all, I think they're very on point with what the metaverse is.
Do you think?
Yeah, because they want to connect the IP and the players.
Yeah.
So if we talk about what was the PlayStation thing that you talk about all the time?
PlayStation Home.
Yeah, if you take PlayStation Home, you throw in like a museum for IPs and ways to interact with IPs. Yep. Metaverse.
Yes.
That's all they're putting money into. Is that experience is what they have to put money into. Let you go into a Dark Souls section and just roll around in a circle, and it's like metaverse. That's what Fix wants.
My guys are roll around in a circle.
I understand what you're saying, and I get that is an achievable thing. Sure, great. Does that cost 130 million? And should you spend 130 million on that?
Yes, because I think what they're betting on is Facebook or whoever the first one to market is for this big metaverse thing. they're going to buy that off of them. So they're probably going to buy it from them and then put it into their metaverse, into their meta world. Is my
I don't know
understanding? Maybe I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
I don't know if it'd be that translatable.
I don't know.
Metaverse would theoretically be built on a different engine and different systems than Facebook's metaverse, unless you go ahead and you take the metaverse train from Meta to Bandai Namco. This conversation is so stupid.
It is.
This
it
whole
really
fucking
is.
thing is so stupid.
Yeah, but is it? But is it?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm a guy that makes music in GTA roleplay and roleplays a character of myself where I'm now making real money from it, and my song has almost done 10,000 streams off of it, and it's just weird.
You're making real money off making music in GTA?
Yeah.
And selling it in GTA? Real money?
No, people are streaming it on Spotify, aren't they?
Yeah.
No, that's not what Fix was going for.
No, that was what I was going for. That was what I was going for.
Okay.
And I think that's quite a good example of, I don't think the most successful metaverse is going to come from a existing video game company that goes, we're going to make a metaverse and say whatever this nonsense is. Like, GTA is an accident.
No, what did you say? GTA is an accident? It's not an accident, it's a mod.
Yeah, and that's my point.
It's not made from Rockstar.
Yeah, and Fortnite was an accident. I know Fortnite's not a metaverse, but like these things, like, yeah, the people that like invest 130 million because they've seen that the SEO traffic on the keyword metaverse has gone through the roof.
It's the same BS with NFTs.
Yeah, 100%.
All these companies talk about NFTs. We're going to do NFTs. Like, any company that says we are going to do NFTs is probably going to do NFTs wrong, if we're going to be 100% honest.
Yep.
Thank you for watching this week. I appreciate it. We had to cut. I'm cutting them off now because otherwise we're going to keep going. We're going to keep going. I'm sorry. I know, we end on NFTs and fucking metaverses. It's kind of like the metaverse corner at this point.
I added the story just for you, folks.
I know, but I appreciate it. Thank you. And get ourselves out of here. Matt, people, you got to plug this week, my guy.
Go rate us on the Spotify. Do the trick, because it's fun, where you fool Spotify into thinking that you've listened to all the episodes, and then you can rate us. We'd appreciate that.
Okay. Crash, we got to plug.
My Xbox and Me YouTube page. The podcast will be going up on time from now on, I believe. So,
you did me dirty there, bro.
Matt,
that's
at some
mean.
Point will be streaming, or maybe streaming Elden Ring in the future on there.
I think I will. If people want that, let me know.
Let Matt know.
Let me know, and
I
will.
Video on Twitter.
Yeah, at Mappy Video on Twitter, or tweet. My Xbox and Me. Do the whole thing.
No, don't do that. If you tag My Xbox and Me, can you put... I want this out there. If you tag My Xbox and Me, can you tag me as well? Because I miss all the tweets. I don't check that Twitter account, and Chris checks it and sees them. And I don't see the tweets that are being nice about us because I don't get tagged.
Don't tag... You're ruining it, Fix, because you want to be tagged.
I know.
Just tag My Xbox and Me. Ignore what Fix said. Tag My Xbox and Me. If Fix wants to get the appreciation, he'll do the work and log into the account.
He's right.
I'll just take screenshots of them. Fix like, look, Fix, here's another good tweet and another.
Before we sign off,
I'd love that.
Before we sign off,
do I get to plug?
Oh, okay, you plug then.
I've got a new song coming out on Thursday.
What?
Yeah, so if you're listening to this, there should be a new song out for you to listen to on Spotify. It's called Decisions. I think it's not like 9 to 5 at all. It's more storytelling. It's about my life. It was written about 5 years ago about the fans. So it was where I was at 5 years ago in my content creation journey. So it's kind of written about Haley, a part of it, and a part of it's written about the fans in which I had at the time. If you enjoy it, it's not really like, it's not Rhapsody rap. It's more like, very storytelling and stuff like that. So yeah, definitely check it out. I did put a GTA roleplay artist on the hook with me doing some underlying vocals called Aquin. But yeah, I'd love it if you guys would check it out and let me know, because it was written about you guys. So yeah, sorry, Karen, awesome. What you was going to say?
Well, kind of piggybacking off of that nicely. Again, shout out to everybody who left questions this week.
Oh yeah.
best questions we've maybe ever had on the podcast. We love them. Jump in the Discord. You know, there are loads of ways to leave questions, and we try to get to
Twitter,
them all.
Discord, email. 2 of those were from email.
YouTube comments.
Yep.
And
they're all great.
YouTube comments.
We love you all.
YouTube comments. Yeah, thank you all for watching. If you do want the reviews put onto the onto the podcast feeds, do let us know. We will take the feedback on board. Yeah, man, keep being amazing. I hope you guys enjoyed this week's episode. Happy to have Matt back. He didn't die actually, so wow, weird. Until next time, we'll love you, leave you, see you all later. Good boys.
Bye.